Hello there.
I cannot give a direct review on Jurassic World Rebirth, basically meaning I can't give a score on this movie as it just came out in early screenings from AMC, but the movie doesn't officially release until July 2nd. The review embargo doesn't release until June 30th. But we can still talk about this movie, man, and we can still talk about everything that happened in this film, so this is definitely going to be a spoiler impressions video, and we can definitely touch on exactly what I'm thinking for this movie. And spoiler alert, guys, I'm not super overly thrilled about this movie and the things that we saw, so we're gonna get into it in this video. If you guys enjoy my content, check out my channel. I have a whole bunch more stuff just like this, and let's do it.
The Atomic Fair.
So with Jurassic World Rebirth, there are a few things that I want to touch on for this movie that were specifically extremely disappointing to me. But before I go into that, I'm going to touch on the things that I thought were good. Now with Jurassic World Rebirth, I was extremely excited going into the film because there has not been a film that has made me feel like we are going back to the style of the original Jurassic Park films in any of the Jurassic World films. Jurassic World, the first one, established the tone of the rest of the franchise, kind of had that Marvel style humor in it and things like that. The tone of it was very different in the way that it treated the dinosaurs. But then both Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, in my opinion, were absolutely fucking terrible. They were really bad. With Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, most of the movie took place inside of a mansion, and then it ended by showing the Indoraptor, but it just wasn't a very good film, and then it even went into genetic cloning of people, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And then in Dominion, you had all of the original returning cast, which had me extremely excited, but then you spend the majority of the film touching on some kind of locust subplot. You don't see the Giganotosaurus hardly at all until the end of the film, and it also copied that tone of the previous Jurassic World films, and so it just wasn't overall very great. It left a very bad taste in my mouth. Now, this is what I will say going into Jurassic World Rebirth. Going into the film, I was extremely excited because I thought that we were going back to the tone of those original Jurassic Park films, and I know many people agreed with me, and it still kind of feels that way when you watch the movie. It's definitely more in line with the original films in terms of kind of making the dinosaurs scary again. But this film is extremely disappointing for a lot of similar reasons as the previous Jurassic World film. Now, much of that includes that Marvel-style humor that was in these movies or in this film, but even more than that, it doesn't exactly recapture that tone of the original Jurassic Park films. It is the most like those compared to the Jurassic World films, but it still doesn't recapture that tone, and I think the first Jurassic World movie even had more dinosaur action than this movie. So going into some of the things I thought were really good about this movie first, I'm going to touch on that before I get into the negativities. The dinosaur designs were excellent. The return of the dinosaurs to being scary again was great, and simplifying the story to having people being on an island dealing with dinosaurs in the wild was once again wonderful, comparing to the previous Jurassic World films where you either had dinosaurs in cities or you just had them playing down the threat of dinosaurs, making the velociraptors very soft and trainable apparently in the previous Jurassic World films. The T-Rex returns to the classic design that is better than anything seen in any of the Jurassic World films. The DRex is somewhat cool for the times that it does appear on screen, which is very short. The design of the Spinosaurus is very paleo accurate, and I think it kind of lines up with that Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus in a slight way, being that you can still definitely tell it's a Spinosaurus, but it's also drastically different and much smaller than that Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus. There is some gruesome death scenes, there is some very slight horror elements, and overall the concept for the movie was absolutely perfect. The idea of another island where they were doing cross-genetic breeding with dinosaurs, trying to crossbreed dinosaurs to make more exciting dinosaurs for the parks, it ultimately not working out, and this kind of being an island of misfit reject dinosaurs was perfect. But then we go into the things that were majorly bad about this film. For one, the characters are terrible. I'm just being 100% honest with you guys, because this movie actually left me jaded in thinking about the entire film industry in general. Because the way that this movie made me personally feel, if this is how films are going to be going forward permanently forever, at some point I'm just going to stop watching movies. Because for me, A lot of the time during this movie, I was looking at my watch. I was kind of wondering when the movie was going to end because the characters were completely unengaging, really poorly written, and that is a lot of my issue with the human characters. There were some good casting. I think Scarlett Johansson is a good cast. I think Jonathan Bailey is a great cast, and I think there are a lot of solid cast members of the movie. I think Duncan is actually a solid character in the film, but they even try to flesh out the characters in a couple very small scenes that kind of touch on their personal lives, and it's just not very engaging. It doesn't draw me in. There's something about these modern movies where the characters are completely off, completely uncharismatic, and just kind of not feeling natural compared to even older movies, especially the original few Jurassic Park movies. Even Jurassic Park 3 had great characters. This movie just doesn't feel that way. There's a lot of cringy dialogue, there's a lot of cringy acting, there's a lot of stupid things that happen in the film. Like, for example, when this D-Rex escapes from containment in the beginning of the movie, it escapes because a Snickers bar gets sucked into the ventilation of the door, causing it to disrupt, which is just such bad writing to me. It doesn't make any sense why such a high-tech, expensive door in a multi-million-dollar facility would malfunction and like electrically short wire due to a Snickers wrapper going in the door. You even see the door kind of pop and fizzle as if there's actual sparks coming out of the door from the Snickers wrapper going into the door, and that is how the D-Rex ultimately ends up escaping, because they're not able to secure the door back properly because it's basically malfunctioning. But now I want to go into my main problem with Jurassic World Rebirth, and this is the thing that holds me up the most about this movie. When the original leaks came out for this movie, I touched on them on my channel, and I've actually taken a lot of heat for some of the things that I said, when basically I was just touching on leaks that were all over the internet, the most popular leaks, with a lot of stuff that ended up being very accurate to the movie, including the reveal of the mutant dinosaur. I will show you guys on screen that original leak from Reddit that made its rounds, that had leaked out that there would be a mutant dinosaur and everything else. This is where it came from, over on Reddit, and you can read the post. Almost none of these things happen in the movie, and it's kind of jarring, but what's insane is everything that is in these leaks is kind of set up in the film. So to not focus so much on the leaks, because I don't want to use them as a reason for why I think the movie is bad, even though it's a major letdown, I'll say this. Basically, every single thing that you see in the trailers is the basis of the whole movie. It is essentially all of the dinosaur action scenes. There is one scene of the Spinosaurus, actually two, when it takes out the family boat and capsizes it. You don't really see them too much. They're kind of just swimming around in the water before they capsize the family boat. Like I said, there's not really a lot of good close-up shots of the dinosaur. It doesn't really do a full-on attack of the boat, the Spinosauruses rather. And then there's a second scene, which is a famous scene in the trailers, where you see the Mosasaurus and the Spinosauruses all kind of working together, and then the Spinosaurus attacks the boat. You actually even only get like a couple close-up shots of the Spinosaurus's face, so it attacks the family boat, and then the one other tiny scene that you see of the Spinosaurus is when it comes up onto the shore for half of a second to kill somebody, but when it comes up on the shore, you don't actually see it walking around fully. So I guess to backtrack a little bit on what I said, you see one small shot of the Spinosaurus walking behind somebody before it pulls them off into the water, and that is the only scenes of the Spinosaurus that you see for the whole rest of the film. The Spinosaurus is in no way a hero dinosaur villain of the movie, and it does not fight the D-Rex. And then going into the D-Rex, you only see the D-Rex at the very end of the film. Everything you see in the trailer are the scenes that you see of the D-Rex. You see it in the very beginning for half of a second in the containment facility. You barely see it. You don't get a full shot of the D-Rex until the end of the film, when it is mostly concealed in fog, and there's no big dinosaur fight between the Spinosauruses or the D-Rex. It's kind of insane. It just has a scene where it kills the main bad guy of the movie, which as soon as you see this guy in the beginning of the movie, you know he's going to be the bad guy. You just know it from his clearly evil corporate demeanor. So this D-Rex basically kills the bad guy, and it is kind of cool. You get to see his arm fall off where he's holding like a briefcase, and the mutilation scene is kind of cool when it kills the guy, because you get to see him kind of chopped in half a little. There's not really a lot of blood, and it's kind of done where the shot is pulled back. That's not zoomed in or anything where it's super gruesome, but you do see his arm fall on the ground where he's holding the briefcase with the dinosaur DNA that they extracted from the big three colossal dinosaurs inside it. But yeah, that is the only time that you see the DRex, like I said, in its full glory, other than the very beginning of the movie where you see it for half a second. You don't see the thing for the rest of the movie until the very end. It is absolutely insane. They never discuss it. They never discuss what it is. All of the things about the DRex supposedly being in pain and people feeling bad for it. There were even rumors that like the smaller family in the movie was going to like pray for it or something because they felt bad. That was like a random thing I read online. Nonetheless, none of that stuff ended up being true for the film. The DRex is not fleshed out in any way, shape, or form. You don't even know it's called the Distortus Rex. You don't even know the name of the thing. You only know it because of marketing material and diehard fans who have been keeping up with the marketing, or people who watch my channel or whatever up until this point. You don't ever see the two-headed raptor that was supposedly in the containment facility. It is actually switched to the Mutodon, so they changed that in the trailers. And just watching the movie, I can tell that there is so much stuff that was cut out from the film. I cannot wait till behind the scenes stuff comes out. I can't wait till concept art books come out and we get to see that stuff that we were leaking, or that I was leaking early on in the production, was stuff that was scrapped, because I have a funny feeling that is what is going to end up happening, because you just don't see that much in this film. To go beyond that, the Raptors are just an absolute disgrace. If you are a fan of the Velociraptors, you're going to be highly disappointed, because they are in one scene. Yeah, the Raptors are in one scene where this kid goes into the woods to take a piss. The boyfriend of the daughter of the family, whose boats get capsized by the Spinosaurus. He's like this goofy kind of character, just like this loser stoner kid, goes into the woods to take a piss, and then these two raptors come up behind him, and this is something you actually see in the trailers. It's funny because the TV spot where you see the raptors get attacked by the Mutodons, it's the only scene where the raptors are in the entire film, and it's such a sham because the raptors are used specifically in the marketing material. It's supposed to be a return to form, making the raptors terrifying again, and then you don't see them the rest of the movie. The Mutodons are the main focus in terms of like the smaller mutant dinosaurs that you see in the film, and then you also only see the Mutodons, other than the scene with the raptors, very, very briefly before the end of the movie. Like I said, everything that you see in the trailers is basically what's in the movie. There's not many more action scenes. The river raft sequence with the Rex sticks out as really cool, but I thought even that was like kind of ridiculous in some ways, with the way that I feel like the Rex would have inevitably just like killed the people. I feel like it would have gotten to the guy in the water, the dad, when he's swimming under the water trying to swim away from the Rex. I feel like it would have gotten to the little girl in the raft eventually. And then ultimately, I feel like because of the cast of human characters, the river raft sequence was just kind of detracted compared to the book, where it was actually the main cast of characters from the first Jurassic Park. But if I have to pick a sequence that sticks out to me as the best sequence in the movie, it's probably that river raft sequence, as well as a sequence at the end where a helicopter flies in to pick the people up, but then it gets submerged in fog, and then you see the lights come back out of the fog, and it's actually the helicopter in the D-Rex's mouth, because you get to see the scale of just how massive this D-Rex is. It's able to chomp an entire helicopter in its jaws. So I think that was another really cool scene. But other than that, man, this movie was so disappointing to me, because I was the most excited for this movie compared to any of the previous Jurassic movies, going back to Jurassic Park 3. I was more excited for this movie than I was for Jurassic World when that film came out. And so I guess that's why I feel the most let down. And that, as well as the stuff that seemed to be touched on in the leaks, it at the time seemed like it was true. I definitely still feel like it was true, and we're going to find out a whole lot of stuff was scrapped for this film. Absolutely none of it came to fruition. And all of it was way cooler than what we saw in the movie. There was no hero Spinosaurus. There were no 3 Spinosaurus sisters fighting the D-Rex at the end. There was no earlier scenes of the D-Rex. There were no scenes of the D-Rex being an apex predator on the island, bullying other dinosaurs or killing for pleasure, which is stuff that I had also read and reported on my channel, which is like a little embarrassing looking back now. There wasn't even any scenes of them talking about what the D-Rex is or what this mutant dinosaur is, which is funny because Jonathan Bailey was supposed to be an expert on these dinosaurs, and he has what seems like absolutely no reaction to seeing a mutant dinosaur appearing in front of him, clearly a cross between a T-Rex and something else, or a failed attempt at a T-Rex, I should say. And there's no scenes of the DRex in pain or seeming like a sympathetic villain dinosaur, no additional scenes of the Raptors, no real scenes of the Mutodons other than that, little bit that we see the Mutodon at the end, basically a sequence that resembles the Jurassic Park 1 scene with the Raptors. Other than all this stuff that I'm pointing out to you guys, we really don't see much. The Titanosaurus, we only get to see the Titanosaurus for that one sequence. That one sequence that is shown in the trailers does pan out. We do see like 100 Titanosauruses there walking in a massive stampede. But personally, guys, I didn't even think the CGI was that great in the Titanosaurus scenes. The Mosasaurus only appears in that one scene in the water, which is fine with me because the Mosasaurus can't appear on land anyways. The Dilophosaurus only appears in the one scene that we've already seen in the trailer. And ultimately, if there's anything else I can touch on about this movie, it would be the score. The score does invoke the original Jurassic Park vibes, but it also doesn't use the original Jurassic Park score enough, I didn't feel. I feel they try too much to make some new kind of Jurassic World style score that doesn't really channel the same vibes as the original movies. When Jurassic is a franchise that's not like Superman or something where they have to reboot it and change the music, they can keep that classic Jurassic music and not have to change it at all, but they don't seem to want to do that. And really, honestly, guys, I am just pretty disappointed because, like I said, there just wasn't as much crazy dinosaur action as I expected. I expected it to be more balls to the wall and have more scenes than what we were shown in the trailers, but it does turn out that all of the scenes we see in the trailers are most of the scenes with the dinosaurs, including the Quetzalcoatlus, which is also only really showcased in that one scene where they are trying to extract the DNA from it. And like I said, guys, I'm not really expecting like all of these dinosaurs to appear many times throughout the movie, but if you go back to the first few Jurassic Park movies, tons of scenes of the T-Rex, quite a few scenes of raptors, quite a few scenes of different dinosaurs like the Brachiosaurus or the Triceratops or the Stegosaurus or things like that, and they are involved in very cool, exciting action sequences. I didn't really feel that with Jurassic World Rebirth, other than really the river raft sequence. The boat sequence with the Spinosauruses had some kind of cool action, but most of it was honestly spoiled in the trailers. And then the final scene with the DRex had some okay action in it as well, but there is no final fight between any of the dinosaurs or anything like that. So those are just my impressions of Jurassic World Rebirth going into next week as the movie is fully released. You guys are going to have to let me know what you think. I don't know if I'm going to lose subscribers from this review or how people are going to take it, but I have to give you guys my honest thoughts and tell you what I think. I'm not going to be a sellout and just hype up the movie and gas up the movie to keep subscribers or to potentially one day promote my channel and get early access to premieres or anything like that. So comment down below, guys. Let me know what you think about all this stuff. And to end on a positive note, I have to say that Gareth Edwards, the original writer of the first Jurassic Park movie, also returning for this movie, it was a perfect combination. And if they have this band of people come back for the next film, I do think there is a lot of potential for a good Jurassic film to come out of this, but I really feel like Universal is botching these movies. I feel like there's way too many cooks in the kitchen. I feel like they are chopping these movies up and taking all of the substance out of it. I feel like they just end up completely different than what the writers are intending going in, or it just ends up being like 60% of what they were intending the film to be, and that's what Rebirth feels like to me. So comment down below, let me know what you guys think. I know this is going to be a controversial take, but I'm still interested in everybody's thoughts here, and I really don't want to dampen anybody's expectations going into the movie, but I'm just giving you guys my honest impressions here. So that's all I got for this one, guys. Until the next one, be safe and stay well. Bye-bye.
And then come June, a moon and you